Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. Today we'll do a classic read. The only difference that I'm gonna do is instead of looking at the connection energy, we will see what action are the twins taken towards each other, each of them separate. And as I mentioned, because as we're approaching the Lion's Gate, there's more and more focus on taking a decisive action. Then this is what we're gonna be looking at in one way or another in different spreads. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna start with an oracle card as always. So this is the Enchanted Map Oracle. Let's see what we have for Divine Feminines first of all. Hope you guys are doing great. It's another lovely day in New York today. Had an absolute blast spending time with a friend of mine from LA who's visiting for a couple of days. And now catching up with business as usual. Well, if you're following me on Instagram, you know all of that anyway. Okay, so for the feminines, we have the Bone Collector. I don't have my book here, but this is about a connection, the ancestral connection, and also the gratitude for what we, for the knowledge and the experience that we get from our ancestry. And this is both on the more like a personal line level, i.e. specifically your ancestors, and also on the global collective perspective, right? What have we learned? I was actually reading somebody just this morning saying that we live in the most comfortable time that the earth has known. Like, this is when we have, reached this high level of comfort where we're supposed to be happy or at least joyful, but we are not happy. Like, we're the least happy. We're the most comfortable, but we're the least happy, right? And this card is calling us to acknowledge how much our ancestors up till now have done for us to have this life, and to appreciate what we have to appreciate in our life, both material and immaterial. Okay, so another message I'm getting is if you can show that appreciation to ancestors in your life, or at least like to somebody of an older generation. And it can be with words, it can be with an act of kindness. I'm still gonna pull a card from the self-compassion deck, by the way, at the end. I do have the deck. We'll see what the practice is for today. The masculines, we get rock bottom. So there's number 1 for DFs and number 10 for DMs. There's also one, but it's the start of a new cycle. So this is emphasizing that the last cycle has ended. It didn't result necessarily in the necessary lessons learned, but it did provide very important food for thought. It was like a very different angle, and especially with this card, I always get this angle stuff here because of depending on how you look at it, you can see different things. Or what is the shape? Where is it going, right? What does it look like? Yeah, it's a wall, right? But it can be the bottom of the pit, or it can just be a horizontal wall. You can look at it differently, right? So this last cycle was painful, but it has provided very valuable insights for divine masculine to work with. And that's also something to be grateful for, by the way. Maybe I should have picked the Spirit Junkie Oracle today. But anyways, so this is to say, or to remind, that we only get to these spots to pick ourselves up and to do better, to do things differently. Yeah, another important message for someone. Do something different. My online marketing coach is calling this DSD for short. Do something different, right? And that's like one of her key mantras throughout her teaching process. That if you want different results, do something different, right? At least a little thing. Even if it's 0.5%, 1% of the things you do something different, then you'll start seeing change. But you have to be ready for that experiment to go out there and do it differently, right? Whatever is in your consciousness right now is the next step, is at least one little thing that you feel like, yes, even if it's, I don't know, starting hydrating more, or waking up earlier, or finally making up your bed on a daily basis. I don't know. You know, like it can be small and it may seem irrelevant at first to a larger scope of things, to the big and important things, right? But it actually will be. And that's a start anyway. Okay, let's continue with the tarot spread and what the energies are at the moment. I actually did already talk about those, but after I had to decline the call, the incoming call on my phone, it stopped recording. It didn't show me, but it actually stopped recording, so I have to do this piece again. So apologize, guys, but we got some interesting dynamics here between on the DF and on the DM side. So on the DF side, we have the Knight of Swords and the Hangman cards, which are, if you look at it closely, the images of these girls, of these women, are very, very similar, but they're not. Like, from the distance, they're very similar. It's just that, you know, one is upside down, but by design. But they're actually different if you look at them closer. Like, this person is a lot more chill, and she's got her hands on her heart, right? Like, she's definitely listening to her inner self, right? And like being in harmony with herself and with the nature around her. This person is looks a lot more anxious and trying to reach for the sky and change something on this outside world, but like something huge, right? Something in the clouds here that she probably doesn't have much control over, right? So it's more like wishful thinking. It's not like it's bad. It's just that it's not even very useful. It's more like overthinking. It's more like even being overcritical of yourself, thinking, oh, I could have done better, or I should be doing this, instead of lying in the grass. Sorry about that, guys. Right, like wanting to do more, be more, where it's not necessarily the best policy in this case. There we go. So the overall energy is see how you can be more in harmony with the self rather than trying to reach for the outside goals at this point. Or if things are not coming together as quickly as you hoped, do not overthink it. Leave it, surrender, and focus more on this peaceful state of mind, if anything. For the masculines, we have the High Priestess in reverse and the Six of Swords. And there's also certain synchronicity here and certain similarity of the images. But again, there is some sort of a blockage that does not allow DMs to quickly access their intuition and their higher self. So there is this extra stress that they're creating for themselves because they want to ground themselves. They want to understand better where they are in the world. What is the focus? What is the priority at this point? What to do next? Right? All this, again, this is the Six of Swords, right? All these thoughts, all these desires and ideas that they're thinking about, right? That's the thinking process or the talking process for some, right? Like there is this angst that, okay, I need to figure this out. I need to get out of this chaos. And we just saw the rock bottom card, right? Like they're trying to solutionize, what am I gonna do next? But with the blockage to their intuition, to their feminine side, it's not happening. or like they get little success, but it's not nearly good enough, right? And it's probably gonna take a lot of energy. And I was actually talking about the sharpening of the sword when I first was talking about these energies. You know Stephen Covey and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? I think it's effective, actually, not efficient. Yeah, so there's a very important habit there. It's called sharpen the soul, which is about taking a break or putting on hold whatever you are doing so that you can sharpen your tools, you can get rest, you can learn more, you can add new skills to continue in a better way, right? Maybe get somebody's support even, but it's more like not just keep going until you get it done, even if it takes you a long time, even if you exhaust yourself. No, this is like a smarter approach. Like, okay, this is just a drag, so I better stop and redo things, or just get some rest even, or connect to my intuition and it's gonna be a lot easier. So right now, your best solution could just be, if you're feeling that anxiety and that stress and things are not really, even whatever you solutionize is not working out the way you expected. The bottom line is it's time to take a break, literally. Even if that means just have fun for a couple of days, do something joyful, do something that makes you happy, healthy, ideally, live a little, right? And you'll see after you relax into it, after you surrender more and connect more with the divine and with the divine feminine energy in you, I mean, not your DF, but that feminine energy in you, things are gonna start to flow more easily. And that's the secret sauce, right? That will be a separate skill in itself of how you can connect to your intuition and to be in that receptive energy when your brain is telling you that's the least intuitive action. It makes the least sense because you're in a chaos. You're supposed to act, you're supposed to solve, you're supposed to be doing something about it, right? But sometimes it's more about relaxing into it, surrendering and letting things flow. Doesn't mean that you aren't gonna do anything, right? It just means that you need to connect to that intuition first. Listen for what that will tell you and then act from that, and not from over analyzing where you are and how to make sense of it all. And sometimes, guess what? You don't even need to make sense of it all. It's also an important lesson I've learned, I feel like, on this journey, that we don't have all the information, and sometimes we aren't even supposed to know why it worked out that way, or who was involved, or why did it even happen in my life. And you might get that answer like down the line, maybe a few years later, who knows, maybe 20 years later. But that's not the point. The point is the outcome, right, that you get. The energetic healing and ascension that you get, the help that you are giving others, like those are the important things. Not like try to nitpick of like, okay, so why did this person enter my life? Okay, why did that happen that in that strange way? Don't waste your time on that or your resources on that. Okay, and now we're gonna move on to the action that each of the twins is taking towards each other at this time. Okay, so the action that divine feminines are taking is the High Priestess and 4 Wands in reverse. So the feminines are doing what's intuitively, what they feel intuitively is important right now, right? Not worrying too much about logistics of their union or, the details of how we're gonna build our life together or whatsoever, right? Or why have we still not moved in with each other? We've been together for a couple of years, right? Something along those lines. Like, even if, like, why are we on and off with each other, right? Some people would ask that. No, this is like putting aside the topics that will come up in your regular relationship, because you know that that's not a regular relationship anyway, and focusing on what is being presented by the divine in terms of your mission or working on yourself, connecting to your gifts and skills, right? This is all super exciting stuff, and July is so potent in terms of discovering what those gifts are and how you want to take them forward. So make sure that you do use this time, you use your thinning of the veil with the ethers for that, without worrying too much about your twin right now. They are going through a lot of things, and we've been seeing that in the collective for days and maybe even weeks now. But it's something that is important for them to go through by themselves, to work it out between themselves and their higher self. And there's a good chance that even if you connect, even if they tell you what's going on, that you may not necessarily be helping them. So best not to worry too much about that, or to get pulled to that space, because you can feel their pain, of course, but to focus on something constructive and beautiful, and if anything, help them in that way, right? Because what we do for ourselves, we do for the twin. The more we're going to be in alignment, the higher we ascend, the more we're going to get to know ourselves and our gifts and what we can do, the better it's going to be for connection in general. The masculines, we have Three of Pentacles in reverse, Five of Cups in reverse. So I get that there is certain sadness of things that could have been with the feminine, but are not right now, right? Like we could have gone there, we could be doing this. There were so many opportunities for some kind of partnership, personal or professional, and they're now seeing how they passed up that opportunity with the feminine because of their own prejudices or fears, or well, that's also a fear, the broken heart that they were protecting. Because it was like, it felt like it was too intense, it was too much, right? And now there's certain regret about that. So they are healing that part of it, right? Just forgiving themselves, or divine masculines watching, if you aren't doing that, then you should be. That's what you should be focusing right now. Forgive yourself, and only after that you can reconnect with your DF and collaborate on something beautiful, right? When you are in that healthier state of mind, not in a wounded state of mind. Okay, last but not least, I'll pull a card from the self-compassion deck. I have a feeling that big part of my reading is gone, so I'll have to re-record it, but I'll figure it out. I was getting a call while I was recording, so I think it stopped it at some point, but it didn't show it to me. Oof, technology. I need to start, mental note, need to start setting my phone into do not disturb mode when I'm recording. Thankless job. Maybe no one else will show the appreciation, but you still have. You see, that's what I've been talking about throughout the reading, the gratitude and appreciation, and now we see it here. Take just a moment and write yourself a note of gratitude for something you did for you. Yes. And for feminines with that ancestor card, it's also, I would add to that, and what your ancestors did for you to be where you are today. And then you can continue it with different I don't want to say labels, but like nomenclatures, like different roles. Like without my ancestor, I wouldn't be here as a woman, a person of a certain age, I don't know, an immigrant, a mother, whatever is relevant, right? Like how those roles have changed through the time, and how much, or like maybe because of health issues I have or something, right? Like how it's better or easier or more comfortable right now for us to live in, and not to worry about those things, but be focusing on something else. Okay, I think I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me today, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon. Bye, everyone.